Hey there, beautiful minds and brave hearts. You are tuned into another episode of The Layered Experience. The space dedicated to the art of figuring it out, where we peel back the many facets of young adulthood, one intriguing layer at a time. I'm your host, Maxine, and joining you along this journey of self-discovery. And I'm sure for a lot of us, we expected the 20s, mid-20s, the late is silent, to be this time of just fun and anticipation. Spoiler alert, remember when the grown-ups told us that our 20s were the time to paint the town red? LOL, as I'm wearing red. To chase those wild dreams under the city lights and revel in the magic of being young and free. Shout out to Snoop and Wiz. And fast forward to now, it feels like I'm navigating through a maze blindfolded. Wasn't this the chapter I was supposed to have it all figured out? Flashback to 2023 when I was there deep in the trenches, where the only wild thing was me being up at 2 a.m. due to my crippling anxiety. The questions circling around my head: do I love my job? Am I even any good at it? If home is where the heart is, why does mine always feel like I'm in a state of limbo? It is a roller coaster, right? One day you are signing leases and having a cheers to new beginnings, and then there are these other moments when you're sitting alone under the covers, scrolling through social media, just asking yourself, why does everyone seem to have a script for life whilst I'm here improvising? If you're wrestling with the highs and lows of adulthood, you are definitely in the right space. And please connect with us at The Layered Experience on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Sign up for the newsletter on www.thelayeredexperience.com, and wherever you are listening to this through, whether you're streaming it or you are watching it, please leave a like and a comment, a review, so that somebody else who might be going through something similar can get the chance to listen to this episode and engage and join our community. Here is the raw and unfiltered truth. It is okay to have a highlight reel that is all valleys and no peaks. I don't know at that point if it can be called a highlight reel, but you know where I'm going with this. This decade, this moment is more than just hitting milestones and checking off to-do lists, as I'm learning the hard way. It's about the messy, beautiful process of becoming. So let's dive in. Grab your favorite comfort snack. Mine is popcorn, but I will not be munching along with you guys because this is not an ASMR channel. And let's deconstruct this thing called success. Are you ready to define it on your own terms? Because my friends, it's time to embrace the bloom and the doom and every shade in between. You've been there, right? Standing in the cereal aisle being overwhelmed with all the choices. I don't know if I let y'all know the other day, but I was struck when I was in Target and there was an iced vanilla latte, special K, limited edition flavor. But you are standing in the cereal aisle being overwhelmed by all the options, and that is decision paralysis in a nutshell. But let's dial it up. Imagine your life to be a whole cereal aisle. Instead of grains and marshmallows, each box is a life-altering decision. Welcome to your 20s in the digital era. This is the age of information overload, where every scroll, swipe, and click leads us to even more options. Should I take this job? Is this person right for me? Should I move to a new city? With endless options at our fingertips, it is no wonder our decision gears go to a halt. Though the interconnectedness of the world is a beautiful thing, which is how you and I are able to be in this space together today, I don't want us to underestimate how having so much thrown our way can make life even more tricky. While I was stumbling on the internet looking at some articles regarding this podcast episode, I came across procrastination.com. Yeah, apparently that's a real place. And it turns out decision paralysis is also not just having too many options. It is the intense fear of choosing the wrong one that ends up making us freeze. In this article called Decision Paralysis, How to Stop Overthinking Your Choices, it was illuminating the ways that being overwhelmed can sometimes lead to overthinking, which also is just a negative thing to have in this time or any period of time in life. So how do we ease this? How do we make it more controllable for ourselves? How do we ease the paralysis? Well, first of all, we need to stop, take a deep breath in, and exhale. We just need to give ourselves a tiny little break, reminding ourselves that not every decision is do or die. Sometimes good enough is okay. It does not have to be perfect because life, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, is not a glossy magazine read. It does not have to be placed and put together in the most neatest, most perfect way possible. Even though the perfectionist girlies will understand that's not how we want to live our lives. We then need to prioritize. What is genuinely important to you? Your values are your compass. Because at the end of the day, despite all the amazing advice we can hear from all of those around us, we need to be the one to make the decision. And sometimes also hearing all the opinions from family, friends, and everybody around us can make it so much harder for us to reach a conclusion. We always will know our true values and priorities, and we are the ones who have to live with our own decisions. Next, simplify. Reduce your options. Less is more, especially when it comes to clarity. All the what ifs can be taxing, and I had seen this TikTok about how the brain can't differentiate between what is happening in real life and a made-up scenario in our heads. For those of us who are overthinkers, overthinking and putting ourselves through those what if situations can actually do more harm than good, unfortunately. Next, leap of faith. Sometimes we just have to take a jump even when the staircase isn't visible. If it doesn't work out, we pivot, and if it does, we learn to trust our gut even more. I think a lesson to be learned is the quest to perfection is a mirage. We think it gives us a sense of control, but it is actually a prison. As I'm growing, I've learned that perfectionism isn't the trophy I once thought it was, despite the fact that many people used to compliment me for having that as an attribute when I was much younger. It can at times anchor down our spontaneity and joy. So shall we take a leap together? Because on the other side of that decision is a story waiting to be written. And who knows, it just might be your best chapter yet. You know, success is a chameleon word that just takes on the color wherever it is shown. For the longest time, I chased the kind of success that I was told mattered. You know, the big career milestones, the perfect relationship, that picturesque life that would definitely make it onto the Instagram feed. But here's the kicker. I started to question, whose dream was I living? Let's pause and ask ourselves, whose checklist are we ticking off? Is it the one that society handed us at birth, full of expectations and unwritten rules? Or was it a list that we wrote with our own ink, reflecting our deepest values and joy? Success isn't a one-size-fits-all. It is deeply personal. It is the joy we find in the little things, the health we nurture, the peace we cultivate, and the growth we strive for every day, whether that is with friendships, our businesses, our careers, our familial bonds. Success is waking up to the life that feels right, even if it isn't the same one that was advertised. I'll be real with you, peeling off the layers of imposed ambitions to find my own was tough. It's like sifting through voices in a crowded room, trying to hear my own. And at times I do find myself wondering if I am walking the path that I've paved for myself, or based off of the expectations of others, whether that is familial, societal, or otherwise. It is a dance, a back and forth between what I was taught to value and what I genuinely cherish. But what I'm learning is that success is being content at the end of the day, and no one can tell you what that is but you. It's knowing the choices you've made are true to you. And if they're not, it's starting anew. It's not about the highlight reel. It's about the behind the scenes, the raw, unfiltered, and real. So I encourage you, yes, you who's listening right now, to take a moment, reflect on what makes your heart sing. What gives you purpose? What makes you authentically you? Redefine success on your terms. Because by doing that, you're not just living, you're thriving. And part of living and thriving is having the faith to try something new. And the big scary monster under the bed when trying something new is failure, especially in adulthood. It's like our 20s are a mix of wanting to try all the new things, but also being petrified of not being a star at it on our first go. Can you relate? It's like we're standing at the edge of a diving board, looking into the pool of possibilities and freezing up because we're afraid we're going to belly flop. I want us to normalize the act of trying new things, stretching your wings, and yes, sometimes falling flat on your face. There's beauty in every attempt because even if you fall or fail, you would have learned. And that counts for something. You build resilience, you carve a little notch in your belt with a banner saying, I survived this. And funnily enough, again, I saw this video of this girl making fun of this man in his 20s learning how to skateboard. And what I loved is in the comments, everybody was like, why is that funny? Somebody wanting to learn, going to lessons. Isn't that the point? If you want to learn something, you go find somebody who knows it better and you let them teach you. Whether you are 10, 15, 35, 55, we can always learn something new and no one should ever shame us for doing so. And when I was watching that video, it spoke to me more about her character than the guy who was brave enough to step out and do something that he's never done before. I believe every tumble, every stumble, it's all part of the dance. Where is the fun in the journey if there aren't any twists and turns? Failure is not the opposite of success, it's a stepping stone towards it. Every no, every fall is not a stop sign, it is just a detour. As you know, we've spoken about this before. It's resilience in its most raw form, and it is beautiful. Because when we rise from a fall, we're not just standing up. We're standing stronger. So let's talk about some legends for a second, why don't we? Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school multiple times. He kept pushing, kept creating, and now he is synonymous with filmmaking. Soichiro Honda, who's now the founder of Honda, was denied a job as an engineer at Toyota. Now look, you know Honda, I know Honda. Or it can lead us down a completely different path, which is for the better. Look at Vera Wang, who failed to make it to Team USA figure skating team. Now she is synonymous with bridal couture. And lastly, just this past week, I saw a video by the streamer called Jinxie. I believe he just hit 5 million subscribers, and he was talking about how for the first year, he literally streamed to one person, his dad. What they all have in common is that they kept pushing, kept refining their craft. Their stories aren't unblemished records. They are tales of persistence. And these stories aren't meant to be just anecdotal. They are reminders that success typically follows failure. It's about persistence, learning from mistakes, and the courage to continue, which always counts the most. So we are reshaping our understanding of failure not as a mark of defeat, but a mark of courage and growth. Every attempt, every misstep, every no, in quotation marks, is building our narrative arc and leading us to our personal pinnacle. Now I would love to hear from you. What failure have you turned to a lesson? It is now time for the echo chamber. As usual, we're reclaiming the term where I hear your layered opinion, thoughts, and experiences. The first person said, I failed my licensing exam twice, which hit me hard. I felt like I wasn't cut out for the profession I was passionate about. On my third attempt, I passed. Those failures taught me perseverance and reinforced my dedication to helping others. Now I work in a role I love, making a difference every day. Nothing is going to show you whether you love something or not, but you keep failing and you keep pushing through. Another person said, graduated with honors and still can't land a job in my field. I've had to move back home and it feels like I'm watching everyone's life move forward except mine. I'm learning to find value in the small steps and trusting that my path will clear up in time. I guess you can say that this is kind of like those people were talking about before, when they've stumbled in their path, when Mr. Honda didn't get a job at Toyota. Like, these are all just stepping stones to greater. And so I'm sorry that you're going through that, and I can't wait to hear your testimony on the other side of that. I was passed over for promotion, watching my peers advance. That's a hard one. I started to question my capabilities. Instead of spiraling, I invested in additional training and sought mentorship. And the following year, I got promoted, but I was then headhunted for a better role at a different company, which is just girl boss energy. You go. You deserve that because they didn't see you for who you are. Somebody else saw your value. Hint, hint, go stream episode 6 about your self-worth. And now look. You're laughing all the way to the bank. After countless job applications and interviews, I'm still searching. It's disheartening and sometimes it's hard to keep my spirits up. I know I have a lot to offer, but it feels like I'm shouting into the void. Yeah, it can really do feel like that. I'm learning to celebrate the small victories, like personal growth, new skills, even as I continue the search. T. I have nothing to say because you have already looked at the different things and different ways that you can be grateful. But I don't want to discount how hard it is, how hard to be positive, how hard in the moment that failure is happening to be positive about it. It's easier to hindsight is 2020, but I'm proud of you if no one has told you that recently. Thank you to every one of you who has shared your heart with us today. Whether you are basking in the glow of a newfound path, wrestling with the weight of unanswered questions, or somewhere in between, know this: you are not alone. Your stories, your struggles, and your successes, they are the threads that weave the tapestry of the quarter life journey that we're all navigating. In this echo chamber, we might have giggled, we might have nodded our head in agreement, or shed a tear or two. I know I have, especially when I read these by myself. But most importantly, we've connected. Remember, it's okay to be a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. Every story shared today is a beacon of light for someone else who is in the darkness of uncertainty. Before we wrap up today's highs and lows of adulthood, let's head into what is for dinner. It's been a minute, and you know what? Finally, we are getting some submissions. Today, we're going to talk about tomato soup and toasted cheese recipe, which I don't like a lot of soups, but I do love myself a warm comfort tomato soup, especially as it's almost summertime. So it is time to bring out all the warm comfort food whilst we can. So let me read what the girlies had said. And they had shared that this recipe is their go-to for comfort and coziness, especially on those days when the world feels a little bit too heavy. It's delicious and incredibly soothing. So we'll come back to you and let you know if we agree or don't agree. I'm a bit weary because I'm like, is this going to be a quick meal? You know me, I love myself a 30-minute meal, but I'm gonna still read it to y'all. So they suggested that you start off by sauteing some onions and garlic until they're soft and fragrant. Then add in canned tomatoes or fresh ones, depending on what you want, fresh basil, and chicken broth. I love myself a little chicken broth. That's time for the little Maggi cube or choosy mix, you know. And let it simmer until everything melts together beautifully. Okay, chef. And then after that, blend until smooth. Season with salt and pepper. I'll probably also add some paprika and chili powder, but feel free to do what you want. And finish with a splash of cream for that velvety texture. I think that sounds easy enough, y'all. I think that doesn't seem too outrageous. Now for the grilled cheese, I'm not really gonna go through the whole grilled cheese thing because y'all know, grab yourself slices of bread, put on the outside what you prefer, whether that is butter, mayonnaise, and then you know, it's like that bean theory thing on TikTok when they were like, what if I don't eat bread? What if I don't? So choose whatever bread you want, whatever spread you like to put on the outside, choose the cheese you like to put on the side, and I like to make my grilled cheese on the pan. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming to What's for Dinner. Please send your food suggestions, and if you try the recipe, food critiques. You know what? We're always looking here for quick meals that the girlies can make after a day of work, school, life. So let me know. And if you do make it, just remember that as we sit down and have this comforting meal, let's reflect on the small moments of joy that we can create for ourselves. Whether it's through a nourishing meal, a good book, or a heartfelt conversation, which I'm about to have because I'm going to go see a friend this evening, remember to carve out times of light and warmth during your day, even if it's 10 minutes. Don't forget to drop a like, a comment, a review wherever you are streaming from, and please follow the Led Experience on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Go to theledexperience.com and subscribe to the newsletter for other insights that I may have during the week. Let's keep the conversation going and support each other whilst we are looking and on the pursuit of happiness. As we wrap up, let's continue to have the courage to grow, share, and learn together. And if you're out there still searching for answers or forging through your path of trial and error, I hope you found some comfort in knowing that even though your journey is uniquely yours, you have a community by your side ready to support and cheer you on. As Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that did not work." And I have one more for you from Robin Rihanna Fenty, and she said, "Never a failure, always a lesson." I hope our chat today has maybe given you a bit of comfort and clarity. Until next time, keep unraveling, keep exploring, and embrace every layer of your unique journey. Goodbye.